Welcome back once again to the most underrated, to the number one source for the most underrated career opportunity in business today. That is a career in the financial services industry and the insurance industry. This is your number one source for information, education, inspiration on that path. You should get a license. This is the podcast edition, ladies and gentlemen. And this is Rod Powell, your host. Really excited tonight. And we're streaming on YouTube, on Twitter, which one live? Tell me which one. TikTok live. TikTok live.
That's right.
You know, we got all the outlets on there. You know, we've never, streamed it live before, but I'm excited about our guests. You know, this is a gentleman who is not hard to find. You know, if you do a search for financial literacy, financial education, you're probably going to see one of his videos. You probably have seen one of his videos on the TikTok, Instagram, wherever you pick up your information and clips. But he is a true professional and just, man, a great, force and energy, in this business. He is the owner of Skyview Financial Group, and he is also an executive field chairman with Hedgeman Group International. I want to give it up for a superpower in this business, Mr. Rafael Preciado. Rafael,
thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for giving me your time.
Hey, look, when I introduce you, I got to add the Ra to it because, where I'm from, when we say Ra, that's like power, that's like the force.
Okay.
That's always what you come with, in your content, in your videos. For those who have not seen you before or have not heard you before, because what I think is really great about your story, and we'll dig into this, is that you make it accessible for really anyone from any background. And that's really what it's all about, to be able to not only get that financial education, but also get into the business as well. Can you talk a little bit about, what you do on a day-to-day basis, what area you focus on, in this industry?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, the main thing that I focus on every day is trying to find that one person that feels lost. The person who is looking for, that they want to, that person that want to sleep worried and stressed out and depressed and knowing that they're meant for more. And when they wake up, someone like me might be able to find them. They're praying for someone like me. So and the reason why I said that is because I remember when I first got into the industry, actually, before I got into the industry, that was me. I was that guy that was looking for an opportunity. I knew I was meant for more. I just didn't know where to start, who to talk to, where to go. And my immediate family didn't know how to help someone like me. And so I just always remember that person and how I felt. And I see how far I've gotten. And I know that in order to not forget where I come from, I just always try to hold on to that feeling of what it felt like to not know, if money was going to come in, or if you were going to be able to pay your bills, or if you were ever really going to find something that you really were passionate about. And so I don't know if that really answers your question, but on a daily basis, that I'm on a mission, and I'm on a mission to help as many people as possible to find that American dream, and do it obviously through us.
I love it, man. I love it. So, you talked about, that feeling, before you had gotten to this industry, in the financial industry, and talking about and educating people on financial services and helping them to find their way. Let's talk about your feeling right now. Like, what do you love most about this business and this opportunity, like right now?
I think the first thing I'd say that every day is different. I've been in this industry for 13 years, and not once have I had a recurring day like that. It was always the same. I mean, you might think it's going to be the same. You might have meetings on the calendar, and you might think that you're meeting individuals, but everyone has a different story. Something's going to happen in the day that's going to kind of deviate you from your course. And so that drastic change every day is what I really look forward to. I don't like, it's weird because I don't like structure. Although in order for me to be successful, I had to learn how to be structured. I had to learn how to follow a process that anyone could repeat, and it was duplicatable. But yeah, man, I mean, just knowing that every day is different, and that I no longer have to worry about money, that I have a real business that works by itself. I'm sure that's the same feeling that people get, I think, when they have a salary. I wouldn't know what that feels like because I've never had a salary in my life. Like no one
Mm.
ever said, here's a job and this is what I'm willing to pay you. I wasn't skilled enough. The only skills I could do was work at a warehouse, work at CVS, work at Burger King, Del Taco, like all and I'm not trying to knock anyone, but I worked there, so I can talk about working there, right? I didn't like it. I hated it. I wanted to be out, but I also didn't want to go to school.
Yeah,
And so I didn't know where I fit. And to know that now I'm the guy who gives people salaries, that kind of makes me feel good that I control my own destiny and no one really can tell me what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Now, I have mentors that I listen to, but having a mentor and having a boss are two complete different things.
absolutely.
So when you ask me, what is it like now? I mean, it's fulfillment, bro. I was fulfilled when I was broke, and I'm fulfilled now that I'm not. And now I don't have to worry about bills, but it's always been a progression. It's always been something different. And like my buddy Aki says, I don't have a career, I have a mission. And I've been on a mission. I've been on a crusade since I was 19 years old. And so that, even though it's what hasn't been the easiest, and I don't think it's easy now, it's been very rewarding and fulfilling to see my constant growth and my progression and the example that I'm able to give my kids, my parents, my family, my wife. So that makes me feel like a man. Just saying.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate, one of the things I really appreciate about you is just your mindset, like your positivity and your perspective, because you talked about being fulfilled, before you had all the material things, and now, still being fulfilled. And it's not the material things that have done that for you. It really is continuing that mission to impact people in a positive way. And yeah, like you mentioned, hey, you're proving that, hey, no matter where you're coming from, if you have a dream, right, there is a vehicle that's available for you. And if you're willing to work and be diligent and push forward, you can accomplish, whatever it is you visualize and desire. So let's take it back, man. Let's go back to, when we're talking about visualizations, when we're talking about, things you desire. Let's talk about your dream job growing up. Like, take me back to like 9 years old, 10 years old, Rafael Preciado. Like, what are you dreaming about? What are you dreaming about being when you grow up at this time?
Dude, I come from a Mexican family, and my dad went to federal prison like in the early 90s. And
Mm.
so I grew up in a single mother household. And I remember visiting my dad in prison, and my dad used to tell me, there's two things I want you to focus on. Make sure you make a lot of money, because with a lot of money, you'll have power. And I think now that I'm older, I always think back, like, why would he say that? And by the way, I can't ask him. I talk to my dad, like, I mean, he calls me every day. He's in Mexico. He's not even here. But I don't have that real good relationship with him because we can't really have like real conversations. It's always like he just tells me he loves me, he cares about me, and that's it. That's kind of where it's at. He tries to lecture me, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to listen to you. You did everything bad. And so, but the two things
Mm.
that he did teach me were that make a lot of money and control your own destiny. I didn't understand what that meant, but now looking back, I think it's because my dad was in federal prison, and when you're in federal prison, you're property of the state. Like you don't have, it's like you're not in control of anything. There's no control of what you can do. And then when he got out of prison, he went back to Mexico, and one random day, he just shows up. He's back at home, and to me that was cool because I'm like, oh, I have my dad back. But as I grew up, I realized he was here illegally. Like that's not normal. I thought it was. I'm from LA, so I thought, everyone has someone in their family that doesn't have papers, that doesn't have a social. Like I just didn't understand that not everyone, that's not people's real lives. Like that was my life. My dad had alias names. Like no one really knew my dad good because he had to be very careful of who he let in. And so, when you say like, who was I at 9 or 10 years old? I just knew that I was very competitive, and that I always wanted to be number one. and that my dad and my mom had brainwashed me to believe that I was destined for greatness. I just didn't know what. My dad told me you have to go to school, get a good job, and have a career. And back then, I thought $500,000 a year was like super rich. You know, like I'm like, oh, that's like at 9, 10 years old. It's still a lot of money now, but it's nothing. You know, it's really. I mean, it is a lot of money, but it's not, right?
Right.
So I'm over here, you know, and
somebody's listening right now, and they're like, I mean, 500,000 is
I know it is a lot of money, but it is. I think
that just kind of gives you a sense of what Rafael is doing, you know, just, you know, who's listening out there.
Yeah, it's like top 3%, I think, in America make over 500,000 a year. So it is a lot of money, but it just depends on who you're comparing it to, right?
Right.
Maybe if you compare it to like my family members, yeah, that's a lot of money. But if you compare it to some of the people that I work with, it's like really not a lot, you know? And so it just depends on who you're surrounded with. But I don't know, man. I mean, to give you a short answer, the 9, 10-year-old me was just, I knew I was meant for greatness. I just didn't know what.
Yeah.
And the only real example that I got now looking back that I can kind of pinpoint as to why I am the way that I am is my dad always made me become like studious. Like he made me read books and he wanted me to be book smart. And so even after school, he would give me math problems and he'd make me like literally like do verbs and all this kinds of crap. Like he would give me English tests and then he would make me pick out books on subjects that I kind of thought I was interested in. And then after school, after finishing my homework, I couldn't go out and play unless I read a chapter and then he quizzed me on the chapter and I explained what I had read. And so he wanted to make sure that I actually understood what I was reading. And I hated it. But he wanted me to be the best. And that was it. And my mom, she just wanted me to be happy, right? She wanted me to be grateful. And so she showed me what hard work looks like. I mean, my mom was the one that was like basically the main provider in the home because my dad was always jumping from job to job because he didn't have a social or a green card. And so whenever he moved up too quickly in the ranks of his workspace, they would always ask you for a green card or a social. And so if you didn't have it, well, then you don't have a job. And so he had to go from one job to another, to another, to another, to another. And my mom was the workhorse. She was just consistent and very dependable. And so I think, you know, in my early 20s, I realized I used to think, you know, I gave all the credit to my dad that I was smart and that I was going to be successful. But, you know, there's so many people with talent that are super smart, that are way smarter than me with more resources, and talent without work ethic is nothing. And so I thank my mom for showing me how to be caring for others and how to really work hard when you want something. Because if it wasn't for her, everything else would have been, you know, thrown out the window. So yeah, man, I don't know if that kind of answers your question of who I was at 9, 10 years old.
Yeah, man. I think that, you know, coming at that age, you know, just being, you know, seated with those thought processes on one end, hey, look, you know, you need to make sure that you're aspiring for something big. You're shooting, you know, for something big. And on the other end, you know, making sure that you're always grateful. I think that's a great degree of balance, you know, that your parents gave you. And it's interesting because, you know, in some cases, people may only push you or motivate you to the levels that they've achieved, right? Or may even discourage you because they haven't, you know, achieved certain things. But it sounds like, you know, in your case, it's more of a scenario where, hey, look, you know, we want you to elevate beyond, you know, maybe what we've done and what we've been able to do. And I think that's really special. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep in mind, like, there's no elevation in my family. Like my parents, like my dad, let me give you a kind of let me help you understand the background. So a lot of Mexicans that move here from Mexico move down here because they're looking for the American dream. And a lot of them come from a lower level of education. Like they didn't go to school, they didn't go to high school, they didn't go to college. they come here because they're workhorses. So they know that if they just work, they'll make more money. And ideally they'll send that money back to Mexico, build a mansion, become a kingpin or whatever it is that they want to do. I don't know. My uncle's done it. They're planning to move back to Mexico. And my mom, she just came here because she wanted to live in the US and maybe go to college. And then she had me, right? She met my dad. She messed everything up. But my dad is he's on the other spectrum. Like my dad, all my grandparents, all my uncles and my aunts that live in Mexico, because the majority of the family members on my dad's side don't live in the US. They all live in Mexico. My mom's side all lives in the US. And the reason for that is because my dad's side of the family, they all went to school. They went to university, have a master's degree, a doctorate, or whatever you call it. And they make more than enough money to live a comfortable life. I mean, better than here. I mean, they have maids, they have like cooks, they have, because it doesn't take that much money to live that kind of life in Mexico. It's just, if you don't have a proper education or someone to help you pay for school, you'll never get it. Everything over there is money. Like you have to pay for school, you have to pay for education, you have to. So anyway, so when my dad came here, he literally came down here because he wanted to be like a lunatic. Like he wanted to, go be crazy. Like he wanted to live the American dream and have the women and, like he wanted big money, right? He wanted big money. And so the big money ended up putting him in jail.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And
Gotcha.
my mom, she doesn't come from that mindset. And so even till now, with all the success that I'm having, it's still hard for my mom to comprehend the way that I think, because they just want me to be grateful and happy. And they don't, whether if I make $50 million or $100,000 a year, to my mom, it's all the same thing. Like there's no difference. It's just like, oh, you can pay your bills. Oh, you don't have to worry about money. You can spend time with your family. That's success. Right. So most Mexicans that come here, they just want to have a house, have a good job, and that's it. So their kids are taught graduate high school, and then major success is graduate from college. And that's it. So my whole elementary, middle school, high school was go to school, go to school, go to school, go to school, get a degree, and you're going to be rich. And around like 16, 17, I was like, I'm not going to school for 4 or 5 years, become an architect or an engineer, get stuck with $300,000-$400,000 of debt, and then take another 4 or 5 years to pay it off. And then that's not really what I want anyway. I don't want to be that. It's just someone told me that they pay the most, and which they don't, but that's what they said. And so I was just chasing the money. Like, yeah. I just wanted to do whatever was going to get me the richest, the fastest legally, so I didn't have to go to jail like my dad did. Yeah. And so when you say like, yeah, like your parents wanted you to do great, we have to define what great was. Great to them was graduate high school and go to college.
Great was just basically
the bare minimum.
Able to survive, right? Like you're able to survive, minimum. Right.
That's right. Wow. That's right.
Wow, man. I always felt like I know, like with my dad, I always felt like, it was a part of my job to realize maybe the things that he wanted but didn't get to accomplish. Did you ever feel that way, like with your dad and like with some of the things he was telling you?
No, you know what, bro? I don't know if this makes me, I'm a very authentic person. And I think that's why I'm able to do what I do, because I don't lie to myself. Yeah. It's hard because you have to kind of see yourself in the mirror and know that if you're not capable of doing something, then you have to think, well, what do I have to do to be able to become capable to do the things that I want to do?
Yeah.
And I'm a very selfish person. And like a lot of people will say, oh, I want to be successful because I want to do it for my family. Sure. Okay. If it sounds good, then say it. If you're being authentic, then go for it. That's not why I don't know, bro. Something's wrong with me. Ever since I was little, I just really wanted to be great. I don't know why. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be known everywhere. Like it wasn't even like a popularity thing. Cause like popular, yeah, that's cool. Like it wasn't even being famous. It was something bigger than that, bro. It was something in me that I just didn't know how to explain. And when I found the financial services industry, it kind of like allowed me to fill in all the emptiness that I had in my heart because I didn't know how to fill it. and a job could not fill it. Because the money, even now, money, bro, I just got a deposit for like 8 grand, and it's like I felt nothing.
Yeah.
Yet I know that sounds ungrateful or whatever. I work my ass off for it. But I'm not trying to say that I don't want the money. I'm just saying the money itself doesn't make me happy. It's a pursuit of happiness. So I'm not doing it I didn't want to do this for my parents. I used to say that when I was younger, but then I wasn't becoming successful because my why wasn't my real why. It wasn't a strong enough desire. Like me saying I want to do to fulfill my parents' destiny or to fulfill my parents' dreams or to do that. I used to say that when I first joined the business. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it for my mom, to retire my mom and this and that.
But that wasn't
that doesn't no, bro. That never motivated me. I thought I needed to say that to feel like a better person. So maybe if I said out loud, then people would think I'm a nicer guy, and then maybe they would listen to me, you know. But it wasn't until I was honest with myself that things really started to come into fruition. Because when I realized that I'm a selfish person, then I was okay with going after my selfish desires that made me happy. And by allowing myself to be happy, then I'm allowed to bless everybody else, because even though I'm selfish, it makes me happy to make other people happy. It makes me happy to have other people enjoy life and not worry and not stress and not worry about money and worry about stuff that I can control. Does that make sense? But I don't do it for them. I do it because of how it makes me feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, not awesome. No, I get it. I get it. I get it. It really is just it's like you said, like the money is kind of a byproduct, because you're doing it because there's something else that's fueling you, you know, just that ability to strive and accomplish that greatness. And that greatness is really just something that you want. And the money is like, hey, okay, I get some money for this. All good. No, I get it. So let's talk a little bit about the journey, man, about your journey kind of into the financial industry, and, you know, how you kind of found that way. So you said around 16, you realized that, hey, look, I'm not going to school. I'm not taking this conventional path, so to speak, or maybe non-conventional path. That would be a big accomplishment for people who weren't striving to get to where I'm going. What was the steps? What did you do to take me back, like the latter teenage years up to being introduced into this business?
Damn. How do I make it fit all in one podcast? Yeah, let me hit the highlights. Well, going back to what I said, right? I always wanted to be rich. And by the way, I didn't understand the difference between rich and wealthy, and even like the difference between financial freedom and then time freedom. And that's not anything that my brain was even thinking of. But I just knew that I'm a very lazy person naturally. I'm a procrastinator. I want things done for me, and I like to feel special. So it's like, well, it sounds like all of that needs money. Somehow in there, we need to have a lot of money. And because I'm lazy and a procrastinator, I was looking for something that made me a lot of money fast, but that was legal, right? Because my dad had gone to prison.
That's key
so
word.
I'm like, yeah, bro. Like I'm like, I need something legit. But school was a for sure path, but it was too long. Like I just like, and then I didn't really know what made me, like, there was a job to me, and nowhere in that job that would I be able to do what I want when I want. So like there was no path for me in the school space. So honestly, bro, I was lost, dude. Like my dad had moved back to Mexico in 2007. My dad moved back again for the same reason. He couldn't move up in careers, and he felt like a loser, like he couldn't do much. And my dad's a smart guy, again, super lazy, just like me, doesn't like to do anything. But he doesn't follow through on most of the things that he says he's going to do, which is why I always say my word is my bond. If I say I'm going to do something, I don't want to be like my dad, so I do it, right? So putting all that stuff into the mix, you know, when I turned 17, I said, I don't want to live here in Utah anymore. It was a culture shock. I was probably like 1 out of 3 Mexicans in my whole school. Everybody else was Caucasian. And we moved down here. We moved down here to Utah because my dad didn't want to be in LA. Because in LA, they were having all this ICE people come into your workspace, and literally, bro, they would grab you and take you to Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah, like that's a real thing. And so there's 18 million people in LA. So where are you gonna find the most immigrants? It's like catching fish with a net, right? You go to a job, go to a warehouse, probably 50% of them are undocumented. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you need to hit some quotas, boom, there you go. Just pick a warehouse.
You know, man, listen, I don't need to like hop in, but I think this is really fascinating to hear because, you know, you hear about these stories like on the news and such, but to like hear from somebody who has family, like kind of experiencing this, I mean, it's really kind of blowing me away. Okay. All right. So
you're good. And keep in mind, I thought this was normal because I grew up in LA. So most of my friends kind of grew up the same way. As a matter of fact, and I'm not trying to go into tangents, but there's so much that, you know, kind of got me to where I'm at. You know, being at like in my early 20s, I started realizing that a lot of my friends after high school moved back to Mexico. And I thought it was just like a career choice. But no, bro, they had the same issue. They were tired of being in the States without papers. And then when they try to graduate or they try to apply for college, they couldn't because DACA probably wasn't like set there yet. I mean, DACA didn't come in, I think, till like 2008. Don't quote me on that. I don't never really looked into it, but just kind of going through my life experience and my friends that I grew up with, yeah, they left. Like some of them left a year before high school. I think they didn't find out that they weren't born in the States until like 17, 18, and they realized that they didn't have a social, or even some when they started getting a driver's license, right? Like California wasn't giving out driver's licenses, which is why we ended up moving to Utah because my dad couldn't get a driver's license over there. So when he came down to Utah to get his license, he realized that homes were cheap. It was a very like low-key place. There was a lot of farmland. It was growing, a lot of job opportunity. And as a matter of fact, I just read a stat that I think Utah and Iowa, I know for sure Utah has the lowest unemployment rate in the whole country. And so it's been booming. Utah's been booming since like 2005. So that's why we moved here. But my dad ended up not being able to move up. And so he decides to leave. I'm over here by myself. You know, my dad's like not really being a dad. I don't know. I'm trying to become a man. I don't really know what that means. My mom is a workhorse, so she's keeping the whole household together. My brother's 3, my sister's 1, and then my dad leaves back to Mexico. And then so I just decided to drop out of high school. I lied to my mom that I had graduated early because I remember like my parents embedded good grades, college. I thought I was gonna go to UCLA. Like I wanted to go to the best schools because that's what I was told that I wanted. Okay, so from like 2nd grade, I remember that's when I got into an honors program. And then by 3rd grade, I got into a gifted. So in California, you have regular, honors, and gifted. So I think honors is based on grades, and then gifted is based on IQ. So I don't think they have that program in Utah, but they do in California. And so I got into that program, and from like 3rd grade all the way to like right before I moved when I moved to Utah, like I was in gifted classes. So my parents never helped me with like homework, signing up for classes, like nothing, bro. They just said, give me your grades, boom, A. They had participation and attendance. So it was AEE, 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 A, and E was like for excellent. So that was like for years and years. Like, I mean, if your kid's showing up like every semester with A's, you don't even question your kid. Yeah. So I took that, I took advantage of that. So I told my mom, hey mom, I'm gonna graduate early, but I really dropped out of high school, forged my parents' signature. Wow. I went to a school called the DATC. I took my GED. So I had like honors and gifted classes, or in high school, I think it's called AP classes, advanced placement. So I was taking AP classes and literally went from A's to the next day. I just dropped out, found out how to join the DATC. I joined the DATC. I took my my GED test. And that same day, I went home, packed my bags. My mom showed up from work, and I said, hey, mom, I'm moving to LA. I was 17 years old. So I grabbed my bags, and I moved in with my aunt, so my mom's sister. She didn't know I was moving in, but she messed up because when I was 13, she told me, hey, when you're getting ready to go to school, I'll pay for your school as long as you get good grades, you can move in with me. I don't remember promises. I mean, I don't forget promises. So don't tell me you're gonna do something and then not do it, because I'm gonna call you out. I've always been like that, bro. Some people like it, some people don't. And that's why some people love me and a lot of people hate me, because most people don't keep promises. So my aunt felt, I guess, obligated. I was already there. I'm sure my mom called her like as I was going halfway, across the country, a 10-hour drive to LA. And I got there and I'm like, hey, I'm here. She's like, all right, you know the rules. Sign up for college. I'll pay for all the bills. You don't have to worry about anything. I'll cover the tuition. So that whole semester, I realized I didn't want to go to school. So I met this dude that was a neighbor of mine that was 19 years old, and he was making $120,000 a year.
Mm.
This was back in 2009. So it's about 300,000 a year. Now, here's the thing. He was living with his parents. So all that money was his.
Yeah. Mm.
His parents were paying the food, bills, everything. All that money was going to girls and cars. Okay.
What's he driving at 19, living at home? Yeah.
Oh, dude, he was driving. So we met because I had a Nissan 350Z, so did he. So we used to like street race or whatever.
Nice.
He had a Honda S2000. He had a Type S, a Type R. He had a 750 Li. He had an Alpina B7, which is a 760 Li. He had an S550, and Tahoe. I mean, he had everything, bro. Like literally, he had like a line of cars, and he was only 19. So that's when I was like, I'm not gonna do this college thing. Like, he just showed me proof. And by the way, about a year into meeting him, I realized he didn't also have a green card. He didn't have papers. Yeah, he didn't have papers. So
wow.
Yeah, so then I was like, dude, if he can do it, then I can definitely do it. So I thought that the best way for me to get into some sort of wealth was real estate. Because when I was gonna move into my aunt's house a couple years before that, I would go down there every summer to hang out with my old friends, because I hated Utah, because I felt out of place. Like, I was the only Mexican, and everyone in LA is, it's diverse. So I felt back at home. So every summer I would go hang out with my friends that I grew up with. And so when my aunt was looking for new houses, because she was a real estate investor, I would go with her. And so I remember the realtors picking us up in like BMWs and taking us around and kissing my aunt's ass to try to sell her a house. I'm like, damn, like, these realtors probably make good money. I think they're rich. I want to be rich. So I got that in my head. So then real estate, and then I saw my friend making all this money in sales. So I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Well, in 2009, in 2008 and 2009, we had the real estate crash.
Right.
So I thought my aunt was doing perfect. Like, I thought she was just balling out of control. She had all these properties. She didn't have any kids. She had a full-time job making good money. My uncle was making good money. And so they really didn't have much expenses besides the homes. And then one day around 6 a.m, a sheriff comes knocking at the door. So when I opened the door, he hands me a pink slip. And as soon as I grab the pink slip, he says, you have 15 minutes to get out this house.
Whoa.
My uncle and my aunt are working, and so they can't come to the rescue. Here's the thing. I had a suspended license. My engine was blown. The car didn't have any registration anyway. I hadn't showered. And so they gave me 15 minutes. I had no money. I didn't have a job, and I had like $20,000 in debt from speeding tickets. So when they kicked me out, like, bro, I was at the bottom of the bottom, and my aunt and my uncle couldn't help me because they were at the bottom of the bottom. They had lost. We got evicted from her property, and I didn't know that she had been losing all her properties all that year. Mm-hmm. And so we had nowhere to go. And that's when I realized, yo, my parents, my mom can't take care of me. She's trying to keep a roof over her head and make sure that my siblings are okay. I know if I go home, she'll take care of me, but I don't want to give that burden to my mom. My dad's gone in Mexico. He left. My uncle, my aunt were my other like lifeline. and their boat sank. So the only thing I have is a shell of a Nissan 350Z in front of the house on the street, and that's the only thing I had. I had nothing else. So it's like, where do we go? What do I do? Do I go back home and try to get a job? Do I figure out the school thing? I can't afford school. Like, I messed up all my high school by dropping out. I can't afford it. It's out of state tuition. I don't even know what I want to do. And I don't know who's going to support me. I feel like someone needed to support me. Now as that I'm older, I'm like, if you really want something, you're going to get it done. But when you're 19 years old and you feel like you don't have anyone to kind of back you, and you have a victim mentality, it's like, and you're used to your parents taking care, like Mexican families, bro, that's the one thing. Like, they're always going to take care of them, like of each other. Like, worst case scenario, now I know this as being older, but if my uncle, my aunt literally had nowhere to go, they could have just come to one of my uncle's houses, and they could have lived with us until they got back on their feet. That's something that we do as family members, right?
Yeah.
But none of that was going through my head. I literally felt like I was alone. My aunt found us a little room to stay at. So we stayed there for about 6 months. We were renting out literally 2 rooms and a bathroom, and we could use the kitchen, but that was about it. And one day she was like, "Hey, I can't keep giving you money. I don't have any money. You need to go find a real job. And why don't you call this phone number? I'm not interested in doing insurance, investments, nothing, no real estate. I'm up to here with it. I just want to be left alone. Let me work, make a little bit of money, try to get out of debt." She's like, "But you never shut the hell up, so you might make some money." So I'm like, talking money. I don't know what it is, but I'm in. Bro, it could have been Amway. It could have been Herbalife. It could have been Mary Kay. It could have been Royal Prestige. It could have been Tupperware. It could have been Avon. It could have been anything, bro. I was
Whatever it
trying
is.
to get out the hood, and I didn't want to be poor anymore.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I didn't have the, oh, I'm too good for that, like mentality. I wanted an opportunity, bro. And so sure enough, I got invited to this company overview. I'm sure a lot of your followers know some of the guys that I work with personally. I don't want to say names because I don't know who's going to watch this, but a pretty famous guy, on YouTube or whatever. He had just opened his brokerage, and he was doing the company overview, and he talked about, how families like mine were able to protect their money and grow it, and how much money they were making by helping families protect money and grow it. And that kind of lit a fire in me, because I'm like, holy crap, you mean to tell me that my family didn't have to lose money? My family didn't have to lose money in the stock market and their 401k. If they would have understood how money worked, they probably could have saved their homes. Like, but yet no one that understands that world wants to talk to my family because they're poor. So it pissed me off. I understood why the rich got richer and the poor stayed poorer. Sometimes it's not even what you know, it's who you know. Like, so anyway, so that kind of got me in this journey, bro, where it went from like wanting a career to I found something that I really had a passion for, because I didn't need convincing. I lived through it indirectly. I was lucky enough. I was unlucky that it happened to me, that I got evicted and all that while I was at work, but I was lucky enough that it didn't happen to me directly. It happened to my aunt, and I bear witness to how it feels to be treated like crap. And when you're like a nothing, and you lose and you have nothing. And so the only thing that I can see was how to figure out how to get out. And that was it, man. And so since 19 till now, 13 years later, I've been on a mission to help as many people as possible that really want a shot to have it. Because if I was able to figure out how to get out, bro, like, I mean, the easiest thing is to have someone teach you how to get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that's a long story, but
no, it's phenomenal. And just to kind of recap some of that, because there's a lot of jewels. I always like to pull out like the gems. You said, look, there were times where you could have, just gone back to the family saying, you know what, whatever, I'm gonna get some job. There were even times where you got to get out. You got to leave the place in 15 minutes. You're trying to figure out like what to do. So there's a certain mindset that when something that traumatic happens, they're shutting down. Like, you know, it's over. But for you, it was like, it was almost like it was putting this chip on your shoulder. Like, look, man, no, whatever. I'm going to make this thing happen. And it seems that, and that's like a common thread amongst, you know, just highly productive people. So no, I think it's phenomenal, man. And for anyone who is hearing your story, whether they're hearing it on TikTok right now or they hear it in the future on the platform, there's no excuses. There's no excuses after you hear Rafael Preciado tell what he tells about, you know, his journey. You either need to just, you know, show up or just shut up, because
Yeah. And keep in mind, I do understand that there's people with harder situations, you know, like death in the family or divorce and they lose everything, you know, like there's so many stories, but I think like I'm just grateful for what I have. And I'm grateful that, you know, as I got older, and maybe you're not asking me to tell you this, but I think it's important for me to tell you this. I thought, because I got lucky that I found this at 19, right? And I wasn't mature enough to really maximize the opportunity at 19. I wish I was more mature back then. And I thought I was mature. And that's the problem, that when you're young, you think you know everything, right? And even now, older, now I've realized, like, dude, I don't know anything. You know, I'm still learning. Like, I need to get as much info fast and use it now, because I'm gonna look back 3 years down the line and be like, dude, you were so stupid at 32. Like, if you were just listen, you know, like, so I think forward, how would that person see me today? Right? If I want to be that person, how do I act now? How does that person act today? Right? What do they do? How do they think? Who are the friends? What, you know, how do they wake up in the morning? But like being 19 in the industry, it was a blessing and a curse. A blessing because, one, I was young, so it gave me time to kind of develop and gave me more time in the game to kind of like try to become more successful sooner. But it was a curse at the same time, because no one really listened to you when you're 19 years old, right? Yeah. Like, no one really wants to talk to you about money, and because you're 19, what do you know? You don't know, you don't understand what it's like to have a house or pay bills or have kids or whatever, right? But the blessing side is that I found what I was passionate about at 19. And I thought, and this is a problem that a lot of kids have today. I mean, I was literally talking to my kid about this yesterday. We went to Texas Roadhouse. She's about to turn 16. And I was like, yo, like, what do you want to do? You know, what are you passionate about? I want you to do something that you're passionate about. And this is where my wife and I kind of disagree a little bit, because my wife, she doesn't do what I do. She's supportive, but she doesn't do what I do. And she's more structured, and she wants like more security. I don't need security, bro. I am my own security. Right. I got my own back. I don't need nobody to have my back, right? Like, they're going to let you down at some point. You got to figure out how to do you. So my wife has a really good career, and she's telling my kid, you know, you don't have to love what you do. You just have to like it enough and enjoy it. I was like, and by the way, my wife has a master's degree. She's like, she had her master's degree by the time she was 26, after taking 2 years of school, after she got her bachelor's. And she took a year off school because obviously tuition was too expensive. So technically she took 3 years off, and she still had her master's by the time she was 26. So she really would have had it by like 23, 24, if she went straight. And she started making six figures by the time she was in her mid 20s. She reached like what her goals, what she thought she'd reach at 40, she reached at like 27. And she really enjoys what she does. It allows her to be a mother. It allows her to be a supportive spouse. It gives her a role that she truly enjoys, but she's not excited about. And that's one of the things that she told my kids. She's like, no one's really going to be super excited about going to a job. And that's where I agreed. I'm like, you're right. I was like, but I've been feeling excited about what I've been doing since I was 19, with money and without money. I feel the same because I've been on a mission.
Yeah.
And I realized that as I've gotten older, and that's something I'm trying to be a good example at, because if I tell my wife, you don't know what you're saying, then it's like I'm lecturing, and people don't want to hear that. So instead, I've decided, and I've been doing my best to lead by example, to show what it's like to really believe and go after what your dreams are, and let that speak for me. And over the years, I've seen her change, where now even she challenges me when I put small goals. She's like, "What's wrong with you? Like, you could do
Mm,
more. Like, you're so
mm.
good. Like, why are you belittling yourself? You understand?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so I need her, because sometimes she grounds me. But going back to like the fulfillment part, like my kid, I'm like, listen, I want you to be fulfilled. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry. I want you to find a career that you love. That, and I know she's at some point gonna do what I do, but I can't tell her to do it. She it has to come from her, right?
yeah,
And as I've gotten older, bro, I've met a lot of people that are like in their 50s, 60s. They make really good money, but they're not fulfilled.
yeah.
And so one of my goals and my dreams is that every person that I work with truly is fulfilled doing what they want to do, right? When you're pursuing your dreams, not a career, how can you not get excited to wake up every morning? How can you not get excited to get better at what you're supposed to get better at? Because you'll know you're a step closer to your dreams, you know? And I thought that I thought that people figure that out by the time they're 20.
Hmm.
And I'm over here 19 talking about dreams. And you know what people were trying to do? They were trying to tell me to be realistic.
Wow.
They were trying to literally, like, I had this fuel and this fire in me, bro. And they were trying to throw water on me. They were trying to hold me down, you know? And I'm like, I just gotta keep adding to the that actually fueled me. It was like they thought they were tossing water out on me, but they were tossing oil, bro. And I just
Right.
kept fuming and fuming. And it's the same thing now. A lot of people think that you'll get to a point in your life where you'll become successful and people will accept you. And if you're looking for people's acceptance, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's never really gonna happen. Like, if you're looking for people's validation, um, it's going to be hard. You might never really be happy. You won't be happy with yourself. That's why I went back to the selfish thing, right? Like, I realized that at the end of the day, no one really cares about me. They were like Gary Vee. I don't know if you follow Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Gary Vee just 2 days ago, he said, Prince died. He made a huge collaboration to like culture. And a week later, and he wasn't trying to be rude, but he said about a week later, we mourned and then we kind of kept it moving, right?
Right.
So I've seen that in my own family. I've seen, family members die, and I was there, when they unplugged them. And dude, that was like three cousins that claimed to love you. You know what I mean? Like the family wasn't there, and it's just like I guarantee you that. And maybe this is me being cynical or whatever. And I know my family cares for me. But I don't really know. Like, I'm sure my mom will be there if I die. I'm sure my wife will be there. I'm sure my kids will be there. But anything beyond that, I don't really know if they're going to come to my funeral. So what is my selfish thing? It's like, I want to impact people so much that they feel compelled to show up to my funeral. Because, and the only way I can do that is going back to what Gary Vee says, give more than what you receive. If you give more without expecting anything, people feel indebted to you. And so that, going back to the goal stuff, like, that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I do crazy things that fulfill me, because at the end of the day, it's like, if you're trying to become a legend or own a legacy or whatever, the only way you can continue to live on is if other people are so amazed with your story that they continue to tell your story.
That's right.
And usually the people that are the closest to you will be the ones who continue to tell that story. So if I can impact my kids drastically enough for them to tell their kids, and their kids tell their kids, and their kids tell their kids, that's how I hope my legacy will live on. Because, at the end of the day, bro, I'm just a guy that's trying to help, but I'm trying to help because I'm trying to help myself too. Like, I'm trying to create that legacy for myself. And I think that really also comes from like insecurity, going back to being truthful. Like, understanding who I am as a person has allowed me to be truthful enough to chase after the dreams that I think will ultimately fulfill me and complete insecurities and lack of belief and all these traumas that you've had as a kid. Most people think, oh, I just need a Ferrari, or I just want the money, or I just want the wife. And they think that's what's going to fulfill them.
Yeah.
But when they realize that what kind of work they have to do is like they just give up. And so throughout the years, I met people that just are dream dead. Like you start talking to them about dreams or goals or desires or what really moves you. Why do you do what you do? They don't even want to talk about it, bro. They're like, oh, just be realistic.
Hmm.
Oh, that's not real. Like, oh, dreams. Like I've gotten to the point in life where I'm not scared to tell people what my dreams are because I don't expect them to understand where I'm coming from. Before I wanted validation. I wanted them to be like, oh, that sounds good. You're great. And sometimes people would say that, and sometimes that messes you up because then you feel like you've made it. If someone validates your goal after you've said it, you're like, yeah, you could do it. Oh, that's what I wanted. So I don't have to do the work anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like someone learning something and just in their mind, they imagine that they've done it, but they haven't actually taken action to put it into motion, you know? So
Yeah,
it's
because you
just an
get the same
illusion that
feeling.
you created.
That's right. You get the same feeling. So when I decided to focus on what I really wanted and why I wanted it, and being honest with myself, whether the motivation was to be inspired, or you do it out of spite for someone, or you do it out of desperation, you have to be honest. I don't do what I do. Like legacy sounds cool, but I don't do the legacy because I'm inspired to have a legacy. I do it because of desperation, where I'm scared that my legacy won't continue.
Mm.
Do you understand? So I do
Yeah,
it out of
yeah,
fear,
man.
but I'm honest with myself.
Yeah,
So I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with facing the fear and that hero's journey of, by the time I'm dead, like when I catch my last breath, I want to be able to say, yeah, I gave it everything I had.
yeah.
And I could die peacefully and fulfilled because it wasn't even about the end goal. It was about the journey of defeating that internal issue that you have with yourself.
There's nothing
It just
left
so
on the table.
happened, yeah, it just so happened that I found the perfect vehicle and the perfect business for me to go after that hero's journey. And it all kind of impact, even me doing this podcast. Like I'm not gonna make any money off this, and I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to make you feel indebted to me by giving you as much as you want so you come to my funeral.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And unless I
Absolutely.
give you something so massive where I actually impact your life, not just words, but physically, monetary, or somewhere else where it's like a little droplet of water and it creates a ripple effect in your legacy, you won't feel compelled to come.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Anyway, bro, I know
No,
that's
man,
probably a
hey,
long explanation, but
bro, no, this I love this. Normally as we start to kind of tie up, the conversation, I like to ask about, like what's your motivation and things of that nature. But at this point, but I feel like, I mean, I can hear, your motivation. I can hear the mission, I can hear the passion, I can hear the pursuit and journey and road that you're on to really build something that outlives you, right? What I do want to know as we turn the corner, what is the personal process that you've done to get you to that perspective? Is it reading? Is it writing? What have you done to kind of establish the mindset that you have now?
um in the beginning it was a lot of reading. We were on a call earlier today and they mentioned the book Think and Grow Rich. And
Yep.
that was probably the first self-development book I ever read. But I wasn't ready for that book. Like it sounded cool. It opened my mind enough to understand that someone normal could become rich and wealthy. But at that moment, I don't think I really believed that I could make it. It sounded cool, but I didn't really think I could believe it. I felt like I needed the skill set. So keep in mind, I joined the industry at 19, but I didn't find a mentor until 28.
Mm.
So the only way I could find mentorship was through books. And so I would read a lot of books. And the second book that I read that truly impacted my life was Unleashing the Power Within by Tony Robbins.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've read that book
Yep.
before. And the only reason I love that book is because, I'm a big conspiracy theorist and all that stuff that we won't go into. And so I feel that, at that point in my life, Tony Robbins had found a real way to master your mind, right? Like to master, like there was a trick or sorcery or alchemy or something that you did that was like magic, right? At least that's how the book painted it, and I believed it. And so one of the things that it talked about was incantations and hooks. Hooks. I don't know if you know what a hook is, but have you ever walked into like your grandparents' house or your mom's house, and maybe they're cooking like a pie or a special food or something? You walk in, you catch a whiff, or you're just walking down somewhere and you catch a whiff of something, and then boom, takes you back to a memory. Has that ever happened to you?
Right. Yes.
Okay, that's what they call like a hook. Like you hooked a memory, a feeling to that one unique thing.
Absolutely.
So what I was trying to do is, and I talked about it today. I was trying to, I've had points in my life before the business where I felt like I was unstoppable. When I used to skate, skateboarding, and I got the kickflip, and I felt like I could do it on command, like I'm the best. Or basketball, when I learned how to cross over and break some ankles, and I'm like, oh, I could destroy anybody. I don't care how talented you are, Like it's like that moment where you feel invincible. I joined the industry, and then I'm like, but no one's listening. How do I bring up that self-confidence? Because competence breeds confidence. And so I read that book, and it talked about hooks, and I really didn't really understand it. I understood it logically, but not really. I didn't really understand it, how to create a hook. Mm-hmm. And so when you talk about, what got me to where I'm at now, is I knew that I had to breed that confidence through competence. And so I didn't understand that book, but then I started reading supporting books that would bring up the confidence around in my personal development, that when I went back to the book or the program, I could understand it better and be more prepared to make it work. And so to make Tony Robbins' book work. And it did. After like 2-3 years of me reading other books, like The Magic of Thinking Big, and for the 48 Laws of Power, I think that's what they're called, by
Robert Greene.
Robert Greene. And I started reading all these other books, right? Then I went back to the Unlocking the Secrets Within, and or Unleashing the Power Within. I forgot what it's called. I started understanding what hooks were, and so I started really focusing on emotion. And keep in mind, I'm following Tony Robbins' book, so I'm just doing what it sounds like magic. Now it just sounds like personal development, like breeding confidence, like getting ready to go after harder things and developing skill sets. And so what I started doing that really worked for me were incantations. Yeah. And incantations where no one believed in me, bro. Like no one believed in what I could do. My parents told me to go back to school, get a job. My girl was trying to leave me because I couldn't even afford movie tickets or gas or to take her out on a date. Like she was paying for everything. She was like, basically, I was like a man child. And I'm trying to like pursue this career, and she's like already like graduating like college, like she's already like doing good, and I'm still here broke as hell trying to figure out how to do it without a mentor. So I have to go to books. And so whenever I would figure out how to get a meeting, and I finally got someone who wanted to meet with me, I remember saying these incantations to myself in the mirror, unfortunately, while I was driving, right before the meeting, to pump myself up. I would tell myself, you're the best, you're going to kill it, you got this already closed, like they're lucky to have you, so I had to be my own hype man. Yeah. Now, naturally, I do that without the hype, because the competence is already there. So the confidence is rock solid because I know who I am, right? I know what I do. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know how I've helped people because I've done it over and over and over, that there's no even doubt in my mind that I can do the things that I'm already doing now. So when I walk into a meeting or I walk into our client's house, I really feel like the roles have switched. Like they need me, I don't need them. There's 300 million of them, there's only one of me, right? So, but that was through incantations, that was through reading. Now that got me far enough to continue to push forward, even when everything was going bad. Even when I only had $14 in my bank account and my engine was blown and I had to drive 30 miles one way to go to one client's house and not know if I was going to be able to make it back on the gas, and thinking who's going to give me a ride. Like thinking like that, right? Like putting it all in the field, and then crying, bro, by myself because no one believed in me. Like I was like going to this meeting And literally like tears, bro, down my eyes. I don't have a mentor. Daddy issues. You know, my dad's gone. My mom's trying to figure it out. My girl don't believe in me. You know, you understand what I'm saying?
I feel you, man. I feel you 100%. Yes.
Okay. Like I wanted it so bad, bro. Like so bad that not succeeding was never an option. Quitting was not even a thought. Like you'd have to kill me before I quit. So because of that, I started becoming pretty successful. When I turned like in my early 20s, I started making good money. I created my own company. I started getting a lot of affluent clients with a lot of money because I was confident that I knew what I was talking about. So I started getting 1, 2, 3, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 clients. And then one day I met Hubert, you know, my mentor.
Yeah.
And he was the first guy ever in my life that was like, I'm gonna teach you the way. Wow. Like I'm gonna teach you not how to get to where you want. I'm gonna teach you how to get to where I'm at. Yeah. And I'm gonna start stretching the vision of what you can't see yet and how you're gonna get there. And I'm gonna give you the roadmap and I'm gonna help you fix your mindset to get you there. Yeah. That was the first time I ever had someone tell me that, bro. And then I was like, all right, it is what it is. I was just so grateful that someone in the world was just willing to give. And the reason why I got to that point in my life where someone like Hubert was willing to mentor me was because for 8 years, you know, I was just working like a horse, bro, just trying to get better, reading books, buying programs, going to seminars, like trying to get as much info from the outside world to try to figure out how to use that in my world.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
What's up?
I said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
That's right. And sometimes I tell my wife, like, dude, if I had Hubert when I was 19, like, imagine where I would be. And she goes, well, when you were 19, you weren't ready for Hubert.
Boom. Man, don't they know? Don't women just know? Don't our wives know?
You know, like, and I wasn't like, I would have wasted Hubert's time like no other, you know. It was, everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And I feel like a lot of people are so impatient that they feel so entitled. They expect everything to just happen for them. And that's not how life works, bro. Life will demand everything from you before it gives you anything. Absolutely. And it has to be, make sure that you deserve it, you know? And so I talk to a lot of people that hit me up that want to make a lot of money. They want to be successful. They want to have a good life. They want to be fulfilled. And they go, well, teach me how to make money. It's like, no, because that's not going to fulfill. Let's talk about where your dreams are and let's go after your dreams, not the $1,000. Like, you're not understanding how I can help you if you think that me showing you how to make an extra $1,000 is going to fix your life. Like, I've been pursuing my dreams, not the money. Come on. So why don't you let me help you pursue your dream? And then the money comes, because you can't live your dream life if the money's not there. But if you chase the money, you don't get your dream. If you chase the dream, then the money comes. And people are very impatient, bro. So you know, I could keep rambling. I don't know how long you want to be on this call, but I always tell people, like, yeah, I always tell people, like, look, I have empathy. Like, yeah. I have empathy for you because I know what it's like to want something so bad and not know how to get it. And I'm glad that you're doing these podcasts for people, because I mean, just maybe someone will listen to a podcast that you make next week and that will change your life forever. Like, I know that I was listening to podcasts and YouTube videos. And if it wasn't for people like you making these videos, I probably would have quit too. You know, it was like a lot of little golden nuggets that I was consuming that kind of created enough of a foundation for me to believe that I can go after something. And like you said earlier, like, or I think I said it, if you want something real bad, you're going to figure out how to get it.
That's right.
And so that's why I have empathy for people, and I understand how you might be feeling, but I don't have sympathy for you if all you're coming up with is excuses as to why you can't have it.
That's right. There it is. There it is right there, man. I just want to throw a note in there. So when you hear Hubert Humphrey, hear Rafael talking about Hubert Humphrey, not the former vice president. We're talking about the legendary Hubert Humphrey, who has built, you know, 2 multi-billion-dollar companies inside of the financial services industry. All you got to do is look him up. very easy to find. But just a shout out, to Mr. Humphrey. He's done just amazing things, in this industry, and continues to with Hedgeman Group International as well. So just wanted to make sure folks knew, who you were talking about when you referred to him.
Yeah. So cool, awesome, man. Yeah, and yeah, bro, that's my story. Like, and I just got off a call with my videographer to try to kind of map out and create a storyline of what we're going to be posting, because it's so hard to tell a story, and one of the biggest things is like Hubert, he's he's the legend, he's the greatest in the financial industry, but most of the people that are on social media, they've already made it. Like, they're done, like, they're rich, they're wealthy, and now they're telling you how to do it. And that's cool. That's awesome for them. Congratulations. But I wish I would have seen someone from the beginning make it happen.
Yeah. Well,
like,
that's
what did it look
phenomenal about you.
What was that?
I said that's a part of what's been phenomenal about you, kind of documenting a lot of your process.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm not that good at doing it. But hopefully if we can get this right, and he sticks around, I would love for him to stick around at least for the next 4 years of documenting what I got going on, because then I'll be able to show someone, even like my kids, bro. I could be like, look, when you stop thinking that money and business is boring and you start trying to pursue something and you want to learn how to make $1 billion company, here's my 4-year process from start to finish. Watch every video.
What's the end goal for you, man? Like, what is, you have built something where now you are someone that others who are new look at and say, hey, I want to be like him. Where are you going? At what point can you say, I've done what I want to do in my career?
Well, the short answer is, if you guys see on the background, I don't know if you can see, or I guess you can't see, but if you guys look at the background, right?
Yeah.
I have that website on the back. And the background is the integrity marketing company, right? They're offering us to buy, and they don't do this with everyone, and this, but I think they've done $20 billion in revenue in the last 12 months. When I found out that they were buying us, they had done $12 billion in revenue. And so from May till today, they've gone from 12 to 20.
They're a juggernaut.
They're offering us the possibility of buying us out and allowing us to put a big portion of our cash out into the stock of the company, which is privately owned, which would make us a managing partner of the largest financial services marketing agency or company in the industry that's privately owned. And this is the very beginning for them. Like, they're going to be massive in 30 years, 40 years. I mean, if their evaluation right now, well, if they're bringing in $20 billion right now in revenue, where do you think they're going to be in 30 years and 40 years? Do at least triple?
Yeah.
So to be a managing partner of a company like that at 32, or let's say 34, because that's when I'll, we'll ink the document, like, okay, here you go. Or 30, I'll be 34, and then I'll have to stay on for another 2-3 years. So then I'll be 36. So then technically I'll be retired at 36. I haven't thought about it that far, bro. I thought that I was going to retire. I wanted to do this until I was 80. You're the first guy, you're the third guy to ask me this, but the first guy on video to ask me. And I don't really know the answer yet to that. And which is why earlier today, when we were on that call, I said, I'm really focusing on getting clear on what I want, because my life has been turned upside down in the last 2 months. And 2 months ago, I got the details of what I have to do to have a chance at being worth $100 million in 5 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, remember what I said? I feel like that little kid that, when I was 19 and I told my family I'm going to make $100,000, and they laughed at me, and they were like, yeah, you can't do that. That's not real. Go back to work. Go, You know what I mean? Like, it's the same feeling I have today when I tell people like, yo, in like 3 years, I'm gonna be worth $100 million. And people look at me like, bro, shut up. You know, you TikTok finance guy, like, stick to videos, or I tell my family and they go, ha ha, yeah. Like, you already got money. Like, what do you want 100 million for? Like, it's like you can never satisfy everybody. So
Right.
the real answer is, I don't know, bro. And I'm not worried about that right now. I'm just worried about the mission. And so I'm at the tail end of the mission. I have 2 years to complete the mission. I've been on it for 13 years, 2 more years, and I'll really close it out. And that will start a new chapter in my life. And I don't know what that new chapter looks like, but the good thing is that now I have a mentor that's done this 3 times. And my mentor can guide me onto the next step in my life.
That's
You
right.
know, so and hopefully in some shape or form, I'm involved in this whole industry for the next, at least until I'm 80.
Yeah, man.
How? I don't know, bro. I don't know, because I couldn't even fathom being where I'm at today, 10 years ago. Like, it sounded cool, but now when I like, you know, when I have more freedom than anything, it's like sometimes that's a crutch too, because you have too much freedom and you don't want to work. So
Right.
it's like, I don't know, bro. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I'll ask you that question in a year too, and I'm gonna ask you, where are you gonna be?
For sure, right. No, no doubt.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
No, I love
So
it, man.
yeah, dude, I don't know, but yeah, so it is a mission, bro, and it is scary, but I'm gonna give it everything I got.
Yeah, man. Look, as I mentioned earlier in the interview, you know, I we've met before, but never really had a chance to talk, man. And I just want to say, I'm so impressed, with your story and your journey and everything that you've accomplished, in spite of, and really just, excited and want to give you, lots of flowers and props for what you've accomplished. But I'm extremely excited for, what you're gonna accomplish, not just in the next, 3 to 5 years, man, but, just over the next few decades, because I can tell that you're someone who's going to continue to just touch people and impact lives and just be a powerful voice, in this, not just in this space, but just in general, anybody who comes in contact with you. So I appreciate you taking this time to share that and be transparent about it. Truly, truly.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you inviting me over to your show.
Yeah, man.
I really do.
Look, for somebody who's new, who maybe they're in their first year, their first 2-3 months, because like you said, man, people do have patience that's short. They get in, they kind of see what it may look like, down the road. But they're just starting out, and maybe they're on the fence about, getting out, or maybe someone talked to them and, they're like, oh, maybe should I do that? Should I not do that? What are some words you would give to somebody who's considering, joining this industry?
The first thing would be is, look, at the end of the day, someone's going to brainwash you. Your friends have a lot of influence in you. And if you wouldn't trade your life for theirs, then it's probably someone that you shouldn't listen to. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when was the last time you had someone in your corner actually trying to help you achieve your dreams?
It's big.
It's like, if you don't have that, if you never had that, I understand you being skeptical. But what if everything that we said is true? What if everything that we told you could happen? Well, how would you feel? It's one of my buddies, we were on a car earlier, and he said, I couldn't live with myself to know that this opportunity is right in front of me and I didn't do everything in my power to maximize it. And, I get emotional when I talk to my wife about this, because, dude, this is so scary for me. This is the dream that was sold to me when I was 19. I'm at the end goal. Like, I live a good life. Like, I really do. Like, if nothing changed and I just kept living this life, I would have a great life. But I don't want a great life, bro. I want a legendary life. I want a legacy. I want to be a champion. You understand? In order to do that kind of level stuff, you got to do scary stuff. but most people don't even get the opportunity to fight for their dreams. And there's the reason why they say fight for your dreams. It doesn't say so you can grab them or get them or be given them to you. You have to fight for them. And so I tell my wife, like, I got 2 years. I got to give everything that I got. And sometimes, you question yourself, am I really capable of doing what I said I was going to do? And, that is a wrong question to ask yourself. So, and I say this because I've talked to Hubert about this, my mentor, and he goes, well, if you believe that you can do it, you're going to do it. But if you believe you can't do it, then you're not going to do it. So how do you get to a point in your life where you believe it? Well, you sit down, you get very crystal clear on the life that you want. And then you get crystal clear on what you're willing to sacrifice and why. And when you know why you want it and you increment your desire by degrees, you feel the fire. You have to get it to a point where it's so unbearable that not having it is more painful than the crap that you got to do.
That's right.
So what do you do on a daily basis? Well, that's your job, to keep that fuel in you burning hot. That is your one priority. So no one else is going to feel that fire for you. No one else is going to pay your bills. No one else is going to go after your dreams. No one else is going to do that. And like I said earlier, you could die tomorrow. People will mourn you for a week and they'll forget about you. If that's the kind of life you want, they keep doing what you're doing. But if you know you're meant for something greater, something more, well, then maybe you should listen to the people who are at least trying to help you do that. That doesn't mean you'll get it. That doesn't mean that you're going to become legendary or that you're going to succeed. That just means they're giving you a chance. So why won't you give yourself a chance and give yourself that self-belief that maybe you're worthy, and you are worthy, but nothing is free. You still got to work for it. So at least have someone on your corner helping you, get through the hardship. It's like when you watch a UFC fight, right? Or a boxing match, you have their coach, and then you got the boxer, right? The coach is seeing all the bad stuff and all the mess ups that the boxer's doing and how to fix it. If the boxer doesn't listen, he gets knocked out. If he listens, he has a chance to win. So you might be their coach and they're in the field and they still got to fight by themselves. They're in business for themselves, but not by themselves. Right. And most people never get into business because it's scary to be in business when you're by yourself. And I know that feeling because I was by myself for a long time and I hated it, bro. I hated it so much. And now that I'm with all my friends, I work with all my friends. I got thousands of friends that I work with in the field. I get excited every day to the business. Like, I'm not scared of business.
Man, yo, listen, hold on. Okay, before we do that, how do people get in contact with you? Let's make sure that, whoever hears this conversation, they want to reach out, maybe they need a mentor, maybe they need somebody they can latch on to, they can learn from. How do they get in contact with Rafael Preciado and just kind of follow, your roadmap, your leadership, your guidance in their career?
So easy. So if I'm more active on TikTok, they can search up Rafael Preciado. So I don't know if my name is on the bottom left corner.
It'll be, it's going to be on there on the YouTube.
Or on Instagram, same thing, Rafael Preciado 01. But honestly, if you're trying to find me, you're going to find me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm even on Rumble. I haven't posted any videos, but I'm everywhere. So if you want to get a hold of me, you'll get a hold of me.
There you go. Hey man, look, I'm excited. I'm excited. Just in the conversation. Hey, look, no excuses. You got to have a mission. You got to be motivated. You got to be relentless. You got to be on a pursuit to be legendary. And if you're listening to this conversation, if you're not inspired, then I don't know if your ears were plugged up or what. But I'm trusting. I'm not just hoping, but I'm trusting and knowing that you heard something, a nugget that made you think, made you say to yourself, you should get a license. Until next time, thank you very much. Have a great one.